The Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen now overseeing the vaccination of around 300 cattle in Northwest, part of efforts to contain the spread of foot and mouth disease in the country. Newzroom Afrika's Nqobile Madlala is following that story, joins us live now from Ventersdorp. Nqobile, good afternoon to you. What is the Agriculture Minister actually doing?
Well, so what we've seen is, Stephen, first of all, he had a briefing with some of the key stakeholders. The second part was having an engagement with some of the community members that had a lot of issues that they wanted to raise, especially around the vaccine in itself, mainly because they're saying that their meat is devalued when it goes into the market, especially because they're saying that it's been vaccinated. So those are some of the issues that he's been addressing. Then he went on to go administer the vaccine itself, where we saw some of these cows that you see behind me actually getting vaccinated so that they're able to control the community farming vaccine. We know that a lot of interaction happens between the farm animals, especially in the community farming. So I want to bring in now the MEC of the province in agriculture to speak to us about details around the farming in this area, especially because people were worried about the fact that they don't have enough land. So the cows actually interact, which also contributes to the spread of the virus.
Well, for starters, the land we are at, it's a communal land. This is a land that is administered by CPA, which means government had paid back for them to get their land back to them. The issue that we have is that it's bordering private farms. What it means is that you might be in a communal land, the neighbor of yours would be a private farmer. That's why you have people who are complaining about impounding of their head of stock, and then you have others who have been blocked to access their ancestral land that is within farms. What government does in such instances is to look to the availability, still within the demarcated CPA land, availability of land, and then demarcate that as grazing land. Because in terms of the legislation, you have a certain number of hectares that should be available for a certain number of the head of cattle for grazing. So issue of grazing is serious, but what then becomes a problem is that quarantine and control becomes then too complicated in such a place. Because your neighbor farm is a private farmer, has all the demarcations and fencing. Just adjacent to him is a communal land. The communal farmer does not believe that the impact of his head of cattle can be equal to the impact of the one with proper demarcation. That's why they tell you that they are separated by a fence. So why are you coming to us as not to him yet? The communal space as a whole is treated as one demarcated area. Your next private farmer would then be treated as a second one, but still in the same area. All what government does is to look to both communal and private farmers, to look to small and commercial farmers. It's not a law where you have selectives. Communal, private, small, commercial are affected, all of them together.
And now at the moment, in terms of the vaccination that has taken place here, we've seen the minister coming in and administering it. As a province, how well has it gone so far?
Well, vaccination program has gone well across the province, but we must appreciate the visit by the minister. What happens is that national coordinate vaccines and then distribute to each province on the basis of positive reports that a province has. So in our province, it has went well to come to those that have private farms, including quarantine. What we are struggling with is quarantine in communal areas. There's also an element where your farmers are a little bit not settled with. It's vaccination and branding. Because then those that we vaccinate must be branded to have been vaccinated for foot and mouth, which means even where they're going to be slaughtered, it's only a demarcated abattoir that can slaughter those that are positively identified with foot and mouth. Then brings another challenge. They would not slaughter where normally they would be slaughtering. You would find that for our case, we are in Kenneth Kaunda, the nearest brand, approved abattoir, it's in Breds. Then they complain to the state and then say look into possibilities of helping us, because under normal circumstances, we're going to slaughter nearer, but we're now slaughtering elsewhere. So those are the issues that they have as community members.
Yeah, but how are you fixing those issues? Because they're complaining that in some of these abattoirs that they're going to, when they see a cow that has the sign that it has been vaccinated, actually their meat is being devalued, not the same price as the meat that hasn't had any vaccination or any contamination in a sense.
Remember, these are controlled by national and international laws. We must declare that this one has been affected by foot and mouth. And also an abattoir, it's only a dedicated abattoir, which means you are not selling a normal, healthy cow. You are selling an infected cow positively identified with foot and mouth, and that on its own means the level and the grading is going to go down. That's why circumstances are that we must work in cleaning up the process and ensure that we are declared foot and mouth disease free. That's the only time their grading picks up again on the sales. Otherwise, when you are still in this process, you will never have a good price for those that are branded and those that are still live from positive detection, but only they are vaccinated.
And I want to come to the fact that your province has been seen to have one of the worst cases, according to the minister. It's your province, Northwest, and so on. How are you stopping it? And I understand you're vaccinating at the moment, but we are seeing the movement of cows from your provinces to other provinces where people now are affected by the infected meat or cows.
Well, we're number 3 from KZ and Gauteng and then ourselves. It's not a level that we want to be. It's an issue that we want to ensure that control measures and quarantine and vaccine works very well, so that in the process we can improve the status, because other provinces who had been detected earlier, they've been cleaned and declared free from the disease as we speak. So it's not an issue we like to have, but it's an issue that we are having because of control of movement, but also of compliance. We're also lacking an element of law enforcement agencies dealing with this. That's why the minister is now calling for veterinary services and extension officers to be declared and given a status of being peace officers, so that ourselves can enforce laws and not expect police and traffic to help us.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. That is the MEC of Agriculture and Rural in this area, rural development, Madoda, Sambatha. And he's speaking to us really about details on the ground, Stephen, with regards to foot and mouth disease in the area, because we know that Northwest is actually number 3 in terms of the provinces that are affected by FMD.